offensive and defensive, and depending on what time it is, goaltending, top 10 players and stuff, because yeah. So starting off, oh, and also I'm going to be multitasking, so I'm like actually playing this game. So if I suck, that's why. It's not because I'm actually bad at the game or anything. But starting us off, the list, and I've already passed an interception. But yeah, starting off the list, we have top 10 left wingers, and at number 1, actually tied, there's a 3-way tie for number 1, and they're all 92 overall, and that consists of Huberdeau, Panarin, and Ovechkin. And I mean, Huberdeau's good. He doesn't have, I mean, he's really good. He was in the Kachuk trade to the Flames. He's okay. I think it's a bit overrated, but I think him and Panarin should be on the same level, maybe 91. But I think 92 is a fair rating for them either way. And then Ovechkin, I don't think he's a 92 anymore. He's still really good. I'd probably give him like a 90. I don't think I'd bump him down to the 80s quite yet, but it's definitely just a legacy rating, to be honest. And then moving on, I was just letting it go there. But moving on from there, we have Marchand and Kirill Kaprizov at 91, tied for second place technically, but on the rankings it's 4 and 5. And I can see Marchand, he's just an irritant, and he can score like crazy too, so I think 91 is fair for him. But Kirill Kaprizov, he's had 2 good seasons, and so I'd understand why he's rated high, but I think 91 is too high for him. So yeah, I'd say either 89 or 90 for him. And then moving on, we have Johnny Gaudreau at 90. I think that's pretty fair for him. He just came off of a crazy year with the Flames. Now he's on the Blue Jackets. It'll be interesting if him and Natchez will be able to, not Natchez, but to repeat what he did in Calgary. Next up, we have Matthew Tkachuk at a 90. I do think this is a bit overrated, but I think he'll possibly grow into a 90 for sure. But I think right now he should be either an 88 or an 89. And then at a 90 overall, we have Kyle Connor. And to be honest, I don't watch many Jets games, so I have no clue if he's good or not. And statistically, that's probably the right rating for him. Next up, we have Gabe Landiscog, 89 overall. And, you know, he's really good. Captain of the Avalanche. I think 89's right for him. But if you are going to change it, I'd change it to a 90. Nothing lower than that. And then the 10th left winger, we have Philip Forsberg at an 89. And he just came off of a really good year, as did pretty much everybody else on the Predators. So it'll be interesting to see if he can keep that up. But we'll have to see. But I think 89 should be fair for now. Next up, top 10 right wingers in the game. And number 1, the best winger in the game, is ridiculous. At a 93 overall, it's Patrick Kane. I mean, come on now. That's just ridiculous. 100% just legacy rating. I think he should probably be either a 90 or a 91 because he's still really good, but he's definitely not the best winger in the league. Next up, number 2 at a 92 overall is Nikita Kucharov, and this I'd say should be the top winger in the league at a 93 instead of a 92. Kucharov is just so good. He puts up points, and he was a key reason of why Tampa won the Cup twice in a row and made it to the finals this year. After him, at a 91, we have Mikko Rantanen. I don't really watch many Avalanche games either, but from what I saw in the playoffs, he was really good, and I think 91 should be good for him. Next up, also at a 91, we have David Pasternack. I'd say 91's fair, about on the same level as Brad Marchand. So yeah, that works with me. Next up, at a 90, we have May. I think that's a bit of an overrate because, let's be honest, the only reason he puts up those points is because he plays with not with McDavid, but with Matthews, and anybody playing alongside him is going to put up points. We saw it this year with Michael Bunting. So I think it's a bit of an overrated. I think you could get like an 88 or an 89 though. Next up, number 6 is Alex DeBrincat with an 89. Just got traded to the Senators. He scores like crazy. He's pretty short, and he's not very good defensively, but it'll be interesting to see what he can do on Ottawa and see if he can do what he did with Chicago, which, I mean, he's not going to be playing with Kane anymore, so that's probably going to be the biggest, see if he is really that good. But I think an 89 for now is fair. Next up at number 7, for right wingers, we have Mark Stone. And I think that's a fair rating. He's good. He's great two-way forward. That's pretty much all. I mean, he puts up points too. And then next up, 88 is Andrei Svechnikov. I think I like Svechnikov, but I think he should probably get an 87. I don't think he's quite up to an 88 yet. Because, like, I think 88 is pretty much like exactly a point per game, and I don't think Svechnikov has had a point per game yet in his career. But we'll have to see if he can get that this year and if he'll finally do something. Well, he's obviously doing something because he's really good. And he just scored in my game. But yeah, he's good. 88 for Vladimir Tarasenko next. I'd say this is fair. He's pretty good. That's pretty much all I have to say about that one. Next up, Jordan Kairu in 87. He's had one good year. We'll see if he can do it again. But for now, I'd say he's either an 85 or an 86. I wouldn't have given him an 87 all the way yet. But if he can definitely repeat what he did this year, next year, I'd say that would be a fair rating. So yep, that's the wingers. Now time for the centers. And best center in the game is obviously going to be Connor McDavid. 95, best player in the league. That's pretty much all I have to say about that one. Second best, we have Austin Matthews. Also very self-explanatory. Best sniper in the league, no questions. Defense is pretty questionable, but besides that, he's really good. Next up, 94, we have Nathan McKinnon, now the highest paid player in the league. I mean, I'd say that's fair. I think he's the best player on the Avalanche for sure, and so it would make sense considering Rantanen is a 91, he'd be a 94. Next up we have Draisaitl at a 93. I think his points could be inflated by the fact he's playing with McDavid, so that's probably why I wouldn't rate him higher than that, but I think 93 is really fair for him. But yeah, I don't think I'd change that one bit. Next up at a 93 we also have Sidney Crosby, and yeah, he's still good, but is he that good? I don't think so. Like I said earlier, Ovechkin, I'd say a 90 overall, so I'd probably give Crosby a 91, as I do believe he is better than Ovechkin at this point in their career, and so that would just be fair. Next up, Barkov at a 92. He's really good, and I think that's fair. I maybe would bump him down a little bit, but 92 is a good rating for him. Next up, Stamkos at a 90. He's a really good leader, obviously. Led the Lightning to 2 Stanley Cups. But I think 90's fair, the more I think about it. Next up, Malkin, 90 overall. I think he should be probably around an 89 or an 88. If not lower. He had a bad season last year, and he didn't get paid what he wanted to pretty much by the Penguins. And so I don't think he's... we'll have to see if he actually goes back to being Malkin, or if he's going to continue taking steps back. Next up after him, we have Sebastian Ajo with an 89. I think he should probably be around, 89, maybe 88. But he's definitely the best forward on the Hurricanes, in my opinion. Next up, at an 89, we have Patrice Bergeron forwards in the league for sure. And so I think 89 is fair, maybe 88, just because he doesn't put up as many points as you would want. But he's still really good, especially at his age. So yeah, now defenders. On right defenseman, number 1, obviously is going to be Cale Makar. One of, if not the best defenseman in the league. He has really good offensive. He's very fast. And like I said earlier, I don't watch many Colorado games, but what I saw in the playoffs, he's a lot better defensively than I really thought he was. So I think 94, 93 is fair for him. Next up, Adam Fox at a 90. That's a pretty bad rating. I think Fox should be more closer to Cale Makar, as he just won the Norris last year. So I think I'd say either 92 or maybe, probably not 93 though. And then next up, number 3, another really bad one. 90 overall, John Carlson. Now, that's 100% a legacy rating. Was once one of the best defensemen in the league. Now, not so much. I'd probably give him 87, 88 at best. But he's definitely not what he once was. And he's probably one of the most overrated players in the game that they have released so far. But yep, next we have Charlie McAvoy at an 89. I think that's decent, you know. I think that's an alright contract, not a contract, what? An alright overall. I think if you're going to change it to an 88, but I don't think it needs changing. Next up, we have Peter Angelo at an 89. Peter Angelo at an 89, probably last year before he went to Vegas, or first year with Vegas. I'm not sure anymore. But now I'd probably say 88. I think Shay Theodore is honestly probably a better defenseman than he is at this point in their careers. And then next up, number 6, we have Aaron Ekblad at an 89. I think this is a fair rating. He's a really good defenseman for the Panthers. Good on the PK, of course. Next up is another terrible rating. Drew Doughty at an 89. When are they going to fix Drew Doughty's rating? He should be like 87, possibly even 86 at this point. He keeps getting those legacy ratings, and it's kind of upsetting. But next up, number 8, Chris Letang at an 88. I also think this is a bit high for him. Maybe a few years ago. Definitely not now. I'd say probably an 87. I don't think I'd go down to 86 for him though. But next up, Dougie Hamilton at an 88. That's pretty good. He's a good offensive defenseman. He's big and tall and strong. I think 88's fair. And last up on the right defense list, we have Mort Seider at an 87, and I think 87 is fair for him. of his first year. He played really well. Won the Calder. So I think it makes sense that he gets the 87. All right, next up, top 10 left defenseman. Starting off with 93 overall, Roman Yossi. That's definitely fair. I think he's probably second best defenseman in the league to Cale Makar. And I think you could make a point for him being best over Makar. He puts up points like crazy, and it's not like he's that bad defensively either. So yep, after that, number 2, we have Victor Hedman at 93. And this one I'm probably going to get some hate on, but I don't think he's that good. I think he's probably like a 91 at this point. I mean, in the games that I watch, all he does is hook and hold people when they're on the breakaway, which I know he does more than that, but he always gets away with those penalties. But yeah, after that, number 3, Devin Tase finally getting some respect with an 88. I think that's really good for him. Honestly, I think the reason Cale Makar is able to just go up and be as offensive as he is because Devin Tase takes care of that blue line for him. Really one of the best defensemen in the league. Next up, number 4 is Morgan, but that's a huge overrate. He's only offensive from what I've seen. He does not know how to play his own position. And let's be honest, the only reason he puts up a point per game is because he plays alongside Austin Matthews. If he didn't, he'd probably be just your average offensive defenseman who can't play his position. So yeah, I'd probably say he's like 86 at best because he does put up those points. But yeah, that's about as high as I'd go for him. Next up, number 5 is Miro Heiskanen, an 88. I think that's fair. He's a really good defenseman for the Stars. I wonder if the Stars are going to make the playoffs this year. That division's got a tight race for the wild card. Next up, number 6 is Rasmus Darlene at an 88. I don't like this one. I don't think he's there yet because with the top 10 23-year-olds and under, that puts him as good tied for 1 with Svenikov, and I don't like that. I think he should probably be 87, maybe 86. Quinn Hughes at an 87 is up next. I mean, that's fair. He's all offense, which I'm not a big fan of those kind of defenders, but what are you going to do? The game is turning into that. But next up, we have Zach Werenski at an 87. I think this is pretty fair. I could see an argument for him going up to an 88, but I think 87 is probably where he should stay. So yeah, after that, Jacob Slaven at an 87. I think this is really underrated. I'm a big fan of Slaven's game. And this might be biased because I'm a Hurricanes fan, but I think he is one of the best defensemen in the league, and I would probably give him an 88 or an 89 instead of an 87. And then finally, number 10, Shay Theodore. He's, I'd say maybe an 88 or an 89. I like him too. Plays a good game, all that. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. And that's the NHL 23 rosters. I'll try to make a... And yeah, with all that being said, goodbye.